Versailles 1678. The Sun King, Louis XIV, reigned supreme. His word was law, his power absolute. The palace, a monument to his glory, glittered with gold and echoed with the whispers of courtiers vying for his favor. Beneath the veneer of grandeur, a current of fear ran deep. One misstep, one whispered word against the crown, could lead to ruin, imprisonment, or worse. Justice was dispensed as swiftly as it was arbitrarily. François Michel Letellier, Marquis de Louvois, the king's ruthless war minister, was the architect of this fear. His network of spies and informers reached every corner of the kingdom, ensuring absolute obedience to the crown. In the heart of Paris, within the labyrinthine corridors of power, a royal scribe, Etienne de Ragny, toiled tirelessly. He was but a small cog in the machinery of the state, yet privy to secrets that could shake the very foundations of the monarchy. One evening, Louvois summoned Etienne to his office. The air was thick with unspoken tension. He presented the scribe with a sealed letter, its wax seal bearing the royal crest. The letter contained instructions of the utmost secrecy regarding the transfer of a prisoner unlike any other. Etienne read with growing apprehension. The orders were explicit. The prisoner was to be transported under heavy guard to the fortress of Pignerol. His identity was to remain a secret from all, save a select few. Louvois watched him, his gaze piercing. "This matter is of the gravest importance, Etienne. Discretion is paramount. Failure to comply will be met with the harshest consequences." Under the cover of darkness, the prisoner was transported. The carriage, escorted by a contingent of the king's musketeers, moved swiftly and silently through the countryside. Pignerol, a grim fortress perched high in the Alps, was to be his new home, a place of secrets and shadows, far from the prying eyes of the court. Who was this prisoner? What crime had he committed to warrant such extreme measures? The questions swirled in Etienne's mind, unanswered and unsettling. As the sun set over Versailles, casting long shadows across the palace, Louvois knew that the fate of this prisoner, and perhaps the fate of France itself, rested upon the secrecy he so carefully maintained. The legend of the Iron Mask had begun. Versailles was a stage, each courtier playing a part in the grand performance of Louis XIV's reign. Beneath the gilded surface, however, whispered anxieties and simmering rivalries threatened the delicate balance of power. The king, ever vigilant, felt the tremors of discontent. Louvois, the king's iron-fisted war minister, was the architect of France's military might. He was privy to secrets that could shake the foundations of the kingdom, burdened by the weight of his knowledge and fiercely loyal to the crown. Etienne de Ragny was a humble scribe, his life a monotonous cycle of ink and parchment. Yet, in the labyrinthine corridors of Versailles, even the most insignificant observer could catch glimpses of the court's hidden intrigues. "Have you heard the rumors?" one courtier whispered, his voice laced with intrigue. "They say there's a prisoner, someone of great importance, hidden away in the king's dungeons." Etienne's ears perked up. He had heard whispers before, fragments of conversations hinting at a secret prisoner, but he had always dismissed them as idle gossip. This time, however, the urgency in the courtiers' voices was undeniable. "Some say it's a foreign dignitary who betrayed the king. Others claim it's a disgraced nobleman who plotted against the crown," the second courtier replied, his voice hushed. "But the most outlandish rumor is that it's the king's own brother." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. The king's brother. The very notion was treasonous, Yet the secrecy surrounding the prisoner lent credence to the wildest speculations. The rumors spread like wildfire through the court, fueling endless speculation and conjecture. Each courtier added their own embellishments, transforming the prisoner into a figure of myth and intrigue. Louis XIV, however, remained aloof, his silence only deepening the mystery. He knew the power of secrets, the way they could bind men together or tear them apart. He was a master of control, and he would not allow this secret to escape his grasp. Louvois ensured that the prisoner remained isolated, a ghost in the machine of the French monarchy. The orders were absolute: no contact, no communication, no hint of his true identity could ever be revealed. Etienne, haunted by the whispers he had overheard, found himself drawn into the mystery. He knew that such curiosity could be dangerous, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon a secret that could change everything. In the heart of Versailles, amidst the splendor and intrigue, the shadow of the Iron Mask loomed large, a constant reminder of the secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface of the Sun King's reign. The truth, like a carefully guarded flame, threatened to ignite the powder keg of courtly ambition and political machinations. Pignerol, a fortress nestled high in the Alps, was more than just a prison. It was a vault for secrets the French monarchy dared not let see the light of day. Its walls, thick and unforgiving, held not only common criminals, but also men whose knowledge or very existence threatened the established order. Life within Pignerol was brutal. Isolation was the primary weapon, the silence broken only by the clang of the gate or the shuffle of guards. Food was meager, hygiene non-existent, and hope a forgotten luxury. This was a place designed to break men, to erase their identities. The governor of Pignerol enforced a rigid code. Each prisoner was known only by a number, their past lives meticulously erased. Communication between prisoners was strictly forbidden, any attempt punished severely. The goal was absolute control, absolute secrecy. One night under the cloak of darkness, a heavily guarded carriage arrived at Pignerol. Its passenger, a man whose identity demanded the utmost secrecy, was about to become the most enigmatic prisoner in French history. The man in the Iron Mask had arrived. The precautions were extraordinary. The prisoner was never addressed by name, only referred to by vague titles. He was always masked, his features perpetually hidden from view. No one, save a select few, ever saw his face, and those who did were sworn to absolute silence. The orders came directly from Louvois, Louis XIV's ruthless war minister. His correspondence with the prison governors reveals the extent of the secrecy surrounding the masked man. Every detail was meticulously controlled, every possible leak sealed. These letters, now historical documents, provide the strongest evidence for the prisoner's confinement and the importance Louis XIV placed on keeping his identity a secret. They offer no definitive answers but paint a vivid picture of fear and paranoia at the highest levels of the French court. Etienne, the royal scribe, carefully reproduced each order and meticulously filed them, never once knowing the real reason they were so important, never once wondering about the details he copied over and over. All he knew was that the prisoner needed to never be identified. One prominent theory links the masked prisoner to Ercole Antonio Mattioli, an Italian diplomat who betrayed Louis XIV's efforts to secure Caso Monferrato. His sudden disappearance and subsequent imprisonment coincided with the appearance of the masked man. Mattioli's knowledge of Louis XIV's secret dealings made him a dangerous liability. If he were to reveal those secrets, it could destabilize the monarchy. His imprisonment, and the extreme measures taken to conceal his identity, could be explained by the sensitive nature of his betrayal. The king's motivations remain shrouded in mystery. Was he protecting the throne, silencing a threat, or concealing a dark family secret? The answer, it seems, was buried deep within the walls of Pignerol, locked away with the man in the iron mask. Pignerol stands as a stark reminder of the absolute power wielded by Louis XIV and the lengths to which he would go to protect his reign. The true identity of the man in the iron mask may never be definitively known, but the historical evidence paints a compelling picture of intrigue, betrayal, and the dark side of absolute monarchy. François Michel Letellier, Marquis de Louvois, the Sun King's war minister, was a man who understood power. He was the architect of Louis XIV's military might, and now also the keeper of a most dangerous secret, a secret bound by stone walls and iron bars. Etienne de Ragny, a royal scribe, was accustomed to the weight of secrets passing through his hands, but the correspondence he now transcribed held a chilling quality. Instructions to prison governors, veiled in euphemisms, spoke of a prisoner who must never be seen, never be heard. Louvois dictated with precision, each word carefully chosen to convey the absolute necessity of secrecy. The prisoner is to be provided with all necessities, he instructed, but under no circumstances is his face to be revealed to another soul. Should he attempt to communicate, he is to be silenced immediately. The letters, sealed with the unmistakable crest of Louvois, carried the weight of royal decree. They were a testament to the lengths the monarchy would go to protect its secrets, even at the cost of a man's identity. Why such extreme measures? What crime could warrant such complete erasure? The answer lay buried deep within the complex web of political intrigue that characterized Louis XIV's court. The Sun King tolerated no threats, real or perceived, to his absolute rule. The historical record offers tantalizing glimpses, yet provides no definitive answers. Expenses meticulously documented, referring only to the prisoner, a ghost in the ledgers of the state. Louvois knew that some secrets were too dangerous to commit to paper, even in code. Some truths were best erased entirely, leaving only ash and unanswered questions. The ultimate authority, of course, rested with Louis XIV. It was his will that dictated the prisoner's fate. But what did the Sun King truly know, and how much did he choose to ignore? The prisoner's journey, shrouded in secrecy, traced a path through the fortresses of France, each a silent witness to his enduring confinement. Pignerol, Exilles, Sainte Marguerite, and finally, the Bastille, each move designed to further isolate and obscure. Did Louvois ever question the morality of his actions? Did the weight of this secret ever burden his conscience? History does not record his doubts, only his unwavering obedience to the crown. Etienne, after his years serving the crown, had become very aware that there are things better left unsaid, with this being the most important. Louvois' legacy is one of military might and ruthless efficiency, but perhaps his greatest achievement was the preservation of a secret so profound, it continues to haunt the corridors of history. The shadow of the Iron Mask, forever cast by the hand of the Sun King's most trusted servant. The whispers persisted, insidious tendrils creeping through the gilded corridors of Versailles. The most audacious of these concerned not a foreign power, nor a rebellious noble, but a secret closer to the throne, the possibility of a twin. Etienne de Ragny, a royal scribe, painstakingly examined birth records, a task assigned to him with utmost secrecy. He searched for any anomaly, any hint of a second birth on the day Louis XIV was born. The notion of a twin brother was more than just a courtly rumor to Louvois. It represented a clear and present danger to the stability of the realm. A rival claimant, even one shrouded in secrecy, could be a rallying point for dissent. Louvois presented the results of Etienne's search to Louis XIV. The birth records were ambiguous. While they documented the birth of Louis, they were conspicuously silent about anything else. Louvois personally interrogated Etienne, his piercing gaze seeking any hint of deception. Was the silence deliberate? Had records been altered or destroyed? The thought of a twin gnawed at Louis. The divine right of kings, the very foundation of his power, rested on the legitimacy of his birth. A twin would shatter that foundation. Louvois, ever pragmatic, focused on damage control. He reinforced the orders regarding the prisoner's anonymity, emphasizing the critical need to prevent any information about his origins from leaking out. Childbirth in the era of Louis XIV was a public spectacle. The presence of court officials was considered essential to ensure the legitimacy of the heir. Yet, a discreet second birth could have been easily concealed. The theory of a twin, however improbable, was impossible to dismiss entirely. The stakes were simply too high. The fate of France rested on the unquestioned authority of its king. Etienne knew that the truth, whatever it may be, was buried deep within the labyrinthine archives of the French monarchy, perhaps forever beyond reach. Louvois understood the power of perception. Even if the prisoner was not a twin, the mere suggestion was enough to create doubt and instability. The secret had to be maintained at any cost. And so, the man in the iron mask remained, a prisoner of both stone and speculation, his true identity lost in the shadows of the Sun King's reign, a chilling testament to the fragility of power and the enduring allure of mystery. The enigma of the Iron Mask drew scrutiny towards various figures ensnared in the web of Louis XIV's power. Among these, Ercole Antonio Mattioli, an Italian diplomat, emerged as a compelling, if controversial, candidate. Mattioli's name surfaced in connection to the Cazel affair, a delicate maneuver to secure the strategic fortress of Cazel Monferrato for France. His initial cooperation turned into betrayal, jeopardizing Louis XIV's plans. The Sun King, upon learning of Mattioli's treachery, was incensed. Such defiance to his authority could not go unpunished. Secrecy was paramount. Any open conflict would damage France's reputation. Louvois, ever the pragmatist, orchestrated Mattioli's abduction. The Italian diplomat was lured into a trap, seized, and spirited away to French territory under the cover of darkness. Mattioli vanished from the historical stage, reappearing only as a name whispered in connection to the most infamous prisoner of the age. His fate became intertwined with the Iron Mask. Pignerol, notorious for housing political prisoners, became Mattioli's initial prison. The fortress walls held not just bodies but secrets, each brick a testament to the regime's ruthlessness. Historical accounts detail Mattioli's harsh imprisonment, though discrepancies arise. Was he subjected to the same level of isolation and anonymity as the Iron Mask, or was his confinement of a different nature? Louvois' correspondence offers glimpses into the management of his prisoners. However, the vague language and coded references obscure more than they reveal, fueling speculation. The prison registers, meticulously kept, provide scant details. The entries are brief, devoid of any identifying information that could link Mattioli definitively to the masked prisoner. Mattioli's imprisonment spanned years, his location shifting between various fortresses, including Exilles and the Isle Sainte-Marguerite, further complicating the effort to ascertain his true identity. Did Louis XIV perceive Mattioli as a mere nuisance, a pawn in the game of diplomacy? Or did the Italian diplomat possess information so dangerous that it necessitated the extreme measures associated with the Iron Mask? The link between Mattioli and the Iron Mask remains an open question, shrouded in the same secrecy that cloaked the prisoner himself. The evidence is circumstantial, the historical record incomplete. The truth, like the man in the mask, remains elusive. Beyond the tantalizing whispers of royal twins and scandalous secrets lay a more pragmatic question. Who else might warrant such extreme measures of concealment? The Iron Mask, stripped of fantastical conjecture, demanded a return to the realm of political realities. A disgraced nobleman, perhaps, one who had dared to challenge the Sun King's authority or conspired against him. The possibilities were numerous, France being a hotbed of intrigue. The consequences for such transgressions were often severe, but rarely this absolute. A foreign spy, perhaps, someone who possessed knowledge that could destabilize France's position on the European stage. The constant power struggles and alliances made it reasonable, but the extreme measures suggested a secret that threatened the very foundation of Louis XIV's reign. The motivations behind such an elaborate scheme were multifaceted. Suppressing dissent, maintaining political stability, and safeguarding the image of the monarchy were all potential drivers. Revealing the identity of the Iron Mask, whoever he was, could have unleashed a cascade of consequences. It could have ignited rebellions, fueled conspiracies, or exposed vulnerabilities in the French crown. To understand the who, one must consider the why. Who had crossed Louis XIV in such a profound way that anonymity became paramount to both their survival and the security of the French state. Examining the historical record reveals several individuals who had fallen out of favor with the Sun King, each with their own compelling, but ultimately unprovable, claim to the title of Man in the Iron Mask. Consider the case of those involved in the affair of the poisons, a scandal that rocked the French court and implicated several prominent nobles in witchcraft and murder plots. Did someone possess information that could implicate the king himself or a member of his inner circle? Such knowledge would be a dangerous burden, one that could warrant the ultimate silencing. The potential for blackmail and political maneuvering within the court of Louis XIV was immense. The Iron Mask could very well have been a pawn in a much larger game. Perhaps the answer lies not in a single dramatic event, but in a confluence of factors. A dangerous secret, a powerful enemy, and a king determined to maintain absolute control. The true identity of the Iron Mask may remain shrouded in mystery, but the examination of the historical context and plausible scenarios offers a glimpse into the dark corners of Louis XIV's reign and the lengths to which power was wielded to protect its secrets. The year is 1698. After decades of confinement in Pignerol and other fortresses, the prisoner known only as Monsieur X is transferred to the Bastille, the infamous Parisian prison. His arrival is shrouded in even greater secrecy than before, if such a thing were possible. The prisoner's masked face remained an enigma, the subject of intense speculation, but never revealed. Extreme measures were enacted at the Bastille to maintain his anonymity. The governor himself, Monsieur de Saint-Mars, personally oversaw every aspect of his confinement. The Bastille was more than just a prison. It was a symbol of royal authority, a place where enemies of the state, both real and perceived, were silenced. Its thick walls and impenetrable defenses made it the ideal location to conceal the secrets of the Iron Mask. Louvois, even from beyond the grave, had ensured the strict guidelines for the prisoner's treatment were meticulously adhered to. His letters, now archived, reiterated the absolute prohibition against any communication, any glimpse of the prisoner's face. Within those sealed letters lay the weight of royal command, the explicit instructions designed to bury the prisoner's identity forever. The slightest deviation could mean death for those involved. The conditions, though harsh, were not intentionally cruel. The prisoner was provided with decent food, clean linen, and the basic necessities. The true torture was the isolation, the enforced silence, the perpetual concealment. Even the scribes tasked with recording the prisoner's existence were kept in the dark. Names were replaced with numbers, descriptions were vague, and the true nature of the inmate remained a carefully guarded secret. The guards were under strict orders to shoot anyone who attempted to communicate with the prisoner. The price of disobedience was swift and merciless. The Sun King, secure in his absolute power, continued to oversee the prisoner's fate from afar. The reasons for such extreme measures remained locked within the royal conscience. Who was this man, condemned to a life of perpetual obscurity? What secrets did he possess that warranted such extreme precautions? The answer, it seemed, was destined to remain buried within the walls of the Bastille. Even in the heart of the prison, whispers of the masked man circulated. Some whispered he was a political prisoner, others that he was a danger to the crown. Only God knew the truth. The Bastille, a fortress of secrets, held the man in the Iron Mask within its cold embrace. The mystery deepened with each passing year, casting a long shadow over the reign of the Sun King and the fate of a forgotten soul. Etienne de Ragny, a scribe in the royal service, found himself increasingly consumed by the enigma of the Bastille's masked prisoner. Officially, he transcribed mundane decrees and administrative orders, but in the quiet hours, fueled by a nagging curiosity, he delved into the archives. He began with the records of Pignerol, meticulously comparing dates, names, and expense reports. The official logs offered little, but a subtle inconsistency caught his eye, a discrepancy in supply requisitions that didn't quite match the prisoner's known needs. The correspondence between Louvois and Saint-Mars, the prisoner's longtime jailer, provided a chilling insight into the obsession with secrecy. The orders were explicit: deny the prisoner all contact, threaten death to anyone who spoke of him, and burn all materials that could reveal his identity. The name Mattioli surfaced repeatedly. Ercole Antonio Mattioli, the Italian diplomat, had vanished after betraying Louis XIV's plans to secure Caso Monferrato. The timing of Mattioli's disappearance and the masked prisoner's incarceration were suspiciously close. Etienne discovered that Mattioli had possessed sensitive information that, if revealed, could have destabilized Louis XIV's carefully constructed alliances and undermined his authority on the European stage. The weight of his discoveries began to press heavily upon Etienne. One afternoon, while leaving the archives, he unexpectedly encountered Louvois himself. The war minister's gaze was piercing, making Etienne acutely aware of the danger he was in. "De Ragny," Louvois said, his voice gravelly, "you spend much time in the archives. I trust you find your duties stimulating." "Of course, Monsieur le Marquis," Etienne replied, his voice barely a whisper. "The work is illuminating." Back in his cramped apartment, Etienne wrestled with the moral implications of his discoveries. Exposing Mattioli as the masked prisoner, if that was indeed the truth, could reveal Louis XIV's ruthlessness and deceit, potentially destabilizing the monarchy. But what was the cost of silence? To allow such an injustice to continue, to let a man rot in obscurity for political expediency, gnawed at his conscience. He decided to act, crafting a letter addressed to a high-ranking member of the clergy known for his integrity, hinting at the secrets he had uncovered, careful to avoid direct accusations, but aiming to plant the seed of doubt. The letter was a gamble, a desperate attempt to bring the truth to light. Etienne knew he was walking a dangerous path, but he could no longer stand idly by while the man in the iron mask remained a silent victim of royal power. 1703, the year the masked prisoner died. Even in death, the secrecy remained absolute. A simple burial, no name, no marker, just another nameless soul swallowed by the vast indifference of history. Etienne, haunted by the phantom of the iron mask, continued his work. The endless flow of royal decrees and administrative reports could not erase the questions that lingered in his mind. Louvois, the architect of the prisoner's fate, was gone, but his meticulous planning ensured the secret endured beyond the grave. The machine of state, once set in motion, continued its inexorable course. Louis XIV, the Sun King, continued to rule, his reign seemingly unmarred by the hidden dramas played out in the shadows. The monarchy stood firm, its power absolute. Etienne revisited the documents, sifting through the layers of official correspondence, searching for a flicker of truth in the carefully constructed narrative. Was it Mattioli, the disgraced diplomat, silenced for his betrayal? The acquisition of Caso Monferrato was a prize worth any price, even the sacrifice of a man's freedom. Or was it someone else entirely, a nobleman who knew too much, a foreign agent with dangerous secrets? The possibilities remained tantalizingly elusive. The legend of the twin, fueled by Voltaire's pen, captured the public imagination. A threat to the divine right of kings, a challenge to the very foundation of the monarchy. Pignerol, the first prison, held its secrets close. Decades of confinement, the slow erosion of identity, what was left of the man beneath the mask. The mask itself became a symbol, not just of concealment, but of the abuse of absolute power, a chilling reminder of what could be done in the name of the state. The Iron Mask, myth, mystery, a shadow cast across the reign of the Sun King. The truth remained elusive, lost to time, a haunting enigma for future generations to ponder.